Hi, everyone. Ashley Mailloux, Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form. Looking at the race of the day for this Wednesday, it comes in Lexington, Kentucky, down at Keeneland. It's the 7th race on the program. A nice first level allowance on the turf course at 5.5 furlongs, and it's overfilled. 16, Mike, were entered in the spot, so we'll see 12 in the starting gate. As we take a look at the slate here, it's an interesting event. Several horses come off of layoffs. Several horses are making their first start stateside. And even the horses that are making the layoffs, they've maybe traveled overseas and maybe didn't fare well, but have shown that they might have talent.
Yeah, pretty tough race actually. It feels like the kind of spot where a lot of different horses can win. You mentioned a couple of shippers over here who seem like they could be pretty good. You got Saturday Flirt as sort of a lukewarm favorite on the morning line. She's making her first start of the year, but was impressive breaking her maiden on this course. There's just a lot going on here. It's a very interesting race.
I think it's going to be a good betting race, though, in terms of the exactos, tries, you name it. You can see some big payoffs here. We'll look at the Timeform US pace projection for this 5.5 furlong sprint. It seems like the 8 Dala, if she wants the lead, she might be able to get it. Now, she just debuted last month at Turfway Park, but in terms of the 6 furlong event, they went pretty snappy early on. She was part of the mix and drew clear nicely.
Yeah, exactly. And she's got a lot of turf pedigree too. So, making a surface switch here, but she's supposed to handle it. I guess I'll be honest with you, Ashley. I don't know how this pace is going to play out. I suppose the 8 could make the lead in here, but when I first went through the race, it's not really how I looked at it. Like the 8 was going to be clear on these horses.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it pans out. We'll jump right into the field here, though, with the number 1, Satin Blue. This one for Joe Sharp. Now, this horse is 5-1 on the morning line, and I'm honestly a little surprised by that short morning line on this horse and the fact that we haven't seen her since November. That race was at Churchill over a sloppy track, and her lone win was the maiden score. It was obviously on the turf, and she did it nicely, but a different ball game. It was 7-8 at Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, that's a tough read there. I think that if you want, the Kentucky Downs form is always hard to read. I guess if you just want to say the surrounding 2 turf races are both pretty good also. So, maybe she's just okay. She's also run well on dirt. I don't dislike her in here. I thought her race at Saratoga when they went to 5.5. I thought that was a good performance. She just missed in there, but that was a big closer's race. The winner came from way out of it. She came from way out of it. So I don't know. I think she's a contender here. I'm kind of in your camp that, do I want 5-1 or less on this horse off the layoff? Probably not, but I think she can win.
Yeah, I would think, 8-1 might be the price that I would expect on her. The 2 Tails of the Heart. She's 6-1 on the morning line, making her first start since coming over to North America, this time in the barn of Bill Mott. And listen, she's participated in Group 2s and Group 3s. She is Group 3 placed. You can look at that effort 2 back behind Simmering, who came back to win nicely next time out. She's a wild card, but in terms of her work, she has some very good works down at Payson Park.
Yeah, we'll see how she does here. It's a pretty long layoff, trainer change here to Bill Mott, and we'll just see how she runs off the layoff. Her form overall over there was really good. I mean, her debut I thought was a really nice performance, and she more than held her own against some better horses. After that, obviously, the last time we saw her, she was really disappointing. She did not run well in that race, but she got a long layoff after that, so maybe there's some kind of an excuse. I thought she was pretty dangerous in here.
The 3 Latin Fever is also a European import. This one hasn't been seen since July in Ireland, but was able to win on debut in a big field and, did it on a left-handed configuration. It was going 7/8 now in the barn of Mark Cassian. The turf works, they're pretty sharp. Obviously, the dirt ones, Mike, they look like they're more of maintenance than anything other than that, but gets Florent Drew here, as I mentioned, for the Cassie barn.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this was of the 2 shippers. This was the one where I was just kind of like, I'll wait and see what kind of price she is, I guess. I thought her debut was okay. I mean, she was wide around the track in there. I didn't think it was like a super compelling performance, but she had a good finish in there. She was also 1,000,000-1 in that race. I don't really know how good she is. If she's some kind of short price, I'll let her beat me. But if she drifts up, I'll be interested.
The 4 Elegant, another one making a start off the layoff. This one, though, just ships from California now in the barn of Rudolph Brissett. Was able to finish third 2 starts back, and I thought the performance was okay. And, I looked at it, though. It's a 5-horse field, Mike, and I started doing more digging. I don't know what sort of short price I'd want to take on her. Her figures maybe a step below than a few others in here, such as Satin Blue, who I mentioned is 5-1 on the morning line, has better turf figs in terms of the buyers. But Flavian Pratt booked to ride, and I wonder what trip this one will get. I have to think she'll be sitting just off of it and try to make a late run.
Yeah, I did think she could maybe get a good trip in this race, so she's got that going for her. She's another one too. Like I actually liked her turf debut when she won that race. She got a perfect trip in there, and won. But she just didn't move forward after that, which kind of concerns me. I mean, her other races they're fine, but they're not great. I think she's gonna have to run better than that to beat this field.
The 5 is up next, a big price here, 30-1 on the morning line for this daughter of Temple City, who obviously the win came on turf sprinting at Horseshoe Indy, but since then, best performance was the race at Keeneland, which I guess maybe is a good thing. It was at Keeneland, but a different ball game. It was at a mile. Now it's going to cut back in distance once again after trying sprinting on the dirt at Churchill.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to say at a big price, maybe this is a horse that you could make some excuses for. As you pointed out, she did break her maiden going 5 furlongs and really hasn't sprinted since then. I know they went 6.5 at Kentucky Downs in a stakes race, but that's not really similar to a 5.5 furlong sprint. So she's back to sprinting here off the layoff, and maybe this is just what she really wants to do. She's going to be a huge price.
The 6 sweet Bebsi here for Ryan Walsh was able to break the maiden back in February at Turfway Park. Now that was sprinting on the Tapeta while in for the $50,000 tag. And she's finished second in both of her starts since then, one at a mile and one at 6 furlongs. My concern with them, I think, honestly, I'm a little bit more impressed with the mile event because when I look at the 6 furlong, they went slow to the half. They went 47-1. They went 47-2 to the half in the mile performance. And I just don't really know about that figure last time out. It's pretty light.
Yeah, I thought this was maybe the hardest filly in the race to make a serious case for. Obviously the first 2 turf starts. If you just want to say it was a long time ago and she's way better now than she was then, I guess that's fine. But I still don't want to bet her in here.
The 7 La Foret here for Wayne Catalano tried the dirt last time out again after maybe needing a race, you think, and they had the race on the turf, then it was washed off. But I'll draw a line through that race, Mike, and you go back to the others. My concern is sprinting. I think she's going to be outrun early. She's going to have a lot of work to do in the final stages.
Yeah, maybe trip more important to her than anybody else in the field. So I guess we'll just see, what happens with her and what she can work out. My kind of take on her is the race in February off the little bit of a layoff there is a 2-turn 7.5. I don't think that's her game, really. I don't care about the dirt race last time. She ran some nice races sprinting on the grass last year, including that race at Keeneland in October. I know that she was sort of a no threat fourth in there. I thought that was an underrated performance. I did not think she got a good trip at all in that race and actually was making up ground at the end, but she just had no chance to win. She's 15-1 on the morning line, Ashley, and I wonder if she's not just better than she looks on paper.
Certainly could be the case. You mentioned she'll be a good price. The 8 Dala we talked about maybe could be part of the pace scenario here based on the debut. Now, it took her a while to debut. She's a 4-year-old debuting. It just happened about, 6-7 weeks ago, and I thought it was a good performance. Now, the runner-up came back to win next time out, Mike, and I think the 3rd place finisher came back to run second in a maiden special weight event, and you just wonder, based on the time last race, if she takes a step forward, if she could be a player here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, she was a wild card in this race for sure. She looked fine winning first time out. It just took that race over early and was clear basically all the way around the track. I didn't love that she wouldn't change her lead in the stretch, but it was an easy win. It got a decent enough figure, and again, she's got tons of turf pedigree. So it feels like the surface switch isn't a real issue for her. She was a horse who I think at the 8-1 morning line is interesting. She gets bets down from that. She's not.
The 9 Saturday Flirt will show a replay of her debut. Now, it came at Keeneland. It came at the 5.5 furlong distance. And as we watched the replay from her performance, in terms of what she did, I thought it was impressive. I think when we see Wesley Ward, we think sprinting, we think going to the lead. That wasn't the case for her. She did rally from off of it. She draws clear here by a length and a quarter. And obviously, they had some lofty expectations next time out. She didn't fare well in the Norfolk, but I think now, she deserves to be the favorite in here based on the debut. But interesting moves. Now you get blinkers off, first time Lasix.
Yeah, Lasix, I guess, could help her too. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. You're kind of surprised the way that she won first time out. And I think you have to like the way that she did it. She kind of won that even easier than the margin suggests. I thought, she just looked like she was overmatched in the Norfolk, but take any of the horses she's running against in here and ship them over to running that race. They'd be overmatched too.
The 10 Dream on Stormy here for Fred Winston is disappointed in those last several efforts. The win did come sprinting at Horseshoe Indy. I just think it's a hard sell being 1 for 16 in the money, and then looking at those performances and thinking this is going to be a tougher group. Has tried the first level allowance competition in the past. It different distances, 6.5 at Kentucky or 2 turns as well, but just can't seem to find the winner's circle again or really be close to.
Yeah, exactly. She shows speed at times, but it doesn't feel like she's going to be able to get up there against this field. The only win came from off the pace. I don't think she's the best closer in this field. Listen, if you like her, she's a very, very big price.
The 11 Unhidden Gem, I actually think is a little curious here. On debut, I think ran okay at Saratoga, going the 5.5 furlongs, and then came back at Kentucky Downs and won. And I know we talk about the Kentucky Downs form sometimes being spotty, right? Not translating. And I'm going to draw a line through the next out effort. She didn't take play in there, but mainly because it was at a mile. And I think if she cuts back in distance, she could be pressing the pace early in here and be in the mix. They went pretty quick in that race at Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is the horse who I feel like if I could go back and maybe we're going to get to the picks here in a minute. If I could go back and maybe include someone else and sort of change things up a little, I'd probably throw this one in there because I did think her debut was okay. And I don't know how, hard you're supposed to be on her for that last race. Maybe she just didn't want to go the mile. Again, the Kentucky Downs stuff is hard to read. That's where her win came. But her other race, the Saratoga race, suggests that she could be okay.
The 12 Big Trouble had the late pace flag attached to her, daughter of Cantharos, who has been almost getting the job done in those last couple, looking for that second win, and she's just come up short in each of them. Head 3/4 of length in the Mardi Gras, but have to think third start off the freshening, she could be even poised to set a better effort than those, and they've both been 79 buyers. In terms of consistency, she's certainly the model for it, Mike, and she has the foundation compared to some others we talked about.
Exactly. Another horse, too, I think you could sort of pick through her PPs if you wanted to and just say, you know what, she's better sprinting. They spent most of last year trying to make her, sort of a longer distance kind of a horse. But when you pull those races up and just look at her sprints, this is probably what she wants to do. She's a closer from the outside post, so we'll see what kind of trip she can get. But I don't know. I thought she made some sense in this race.
So the 12 are the main body of the field. There is the 13 Cabernet here for Scott Barker, who looks to be sort of a chasing type, likes to be in the mix and fade. The 14 Bon Fee here, making the first start off the trainer change, now in the barn of Melanie Giddings. We have Stellar Asset from 15 and 16, La Monera, this one for Kelly Fernandez. Out of these, did any of them sort of, spark your curiosity that you'd maybe give them a look if they drew in?
I didn't really want to bet any of these horses. I mean, I guess if you get down that far, the 15 Stellar Asset, could be worth a look because she'll bring speed into this race, which I didn't really feel like they'd be going a quick pace up front early. So we'll see. I didn't really like any of the AEs, though.
All right, that is the race of the day for this Wednesday, race number 7 at Keeneland. Don't forget free past performances on the DRF website. And it's time for our top picks. It's a really challenging race to look at. We've talked about the layoffs, the shippers. You just don't know what to expect. You'll go with the price here. You sort of made the case earlier that the 7 La Foret might be better than she looks on paper.
Yeah, we'll see. And she's just going to be a price in here. And that's what I was sort of looking for. This race is way too wide open for me to really want to take any of the favorites in this race. We'll see if she can get the right trip in this race because that's going to be important. But I think this is the kind of race she wants to run in. And I liked her only start at Keeneland.
I think on paper, the 9 and the 12 were probably the best horses based on what we've seen. But you talked about if you could go back, the horse you might include is the 11 Unhidden Gem, who I found intriguing. I know the buyers are low. We're talking mid-60s, but I felt like the effort 2 back, and even as you mentioned, the debut, not bad. You can maybe make a case, especially for at a bigger price. But 7, 8, 2, 9 for Mike, 9, 12, 11, 2 for me. Race 7 at Keeneland this Wednesday. It kicks off the late double. Good luck.